When is the last time you checked your retirement accounts? And if you don't remember, this live is going to be for you. Today, me and Pascal are going to be talking about just the ins and outs of how people get set into their employer plans and even outside plans, but the pros and cons of them both. Tom, how's it going? We're just going to pull them up. Give us 1 second. Perfect. Yep. I was just letting them know that a lot of people, they set their retirement plans up and it's almost like a thing of the past. Once they start it, it's locked and loaded that they never have to check it again. It's out of their control. That's what I've been hearing from multiple people that I've talked to within the last few weeks here. And have you heard something similar?
Sometimes when people they have this idea of retirement and they have a box they need to check, and then once that box is checked, they just turn their brain off and they don't really think about it again after that, right? I am investing. Now, how intentional you're about investing, what are you investing in? You ask them more detailed questions, it's very surface level, right? It
Exactly.
goes into the idea of a lot of people invest based on emotion and how they feel in terms of what other people are doing, but not on intention and being practical and trying to really maximize and get the best outcome that they can get.
For sure. I know when I was back in the working field, I was able to start investing based on what somebody else told me. It's, hey, Pascal, I know that we work at the same company. What do you do for retirement? And it's like, this is what the company offers. This how much I've been putting in. And it's like, I'll just do exactly what you're doing. You may be different age than I am. You may have different household. Um, there's a lot of different factors that you want to add into the complex situation, and a lot of people just select the box like you said and let it ride from there and hope by the time they're retired, whether that be if their job says 55 or if their job says 75, they're really just gonna wait until that time comes and hopefully there's enough.
And you want to make sure whatever plan that you're using as your primary savings tool is that it's aligned with the goals that you have for the future. If you want to climb the corporate ladder in whatever field you're in, whether you want to start a business, whether you want to do other things that might be a deterring factor for you to invest and save in certain savings vehicles, because the lack of liquidity, the lack of access, the amount of risk you're taking might not be congruent in terms of what you're looking for in terms of an outcome, right? Because maybe you're not trying to solve for retirement. Maybe you're trying to solve for more immediate needs so you could access your money and build something, build a bigger income in terms of what you're currently making right now. Maybe you're trying to make more money. And those factors play a large role in terms of what places you save your money and intention behind it.
For sure. And the people that I've talked to, they were surprised when I told them they don't really have access to their money without being, number one, a lot of them didn't know that they were going to get taxed when they start pulling that money out, but then also that they couldn't touch their money pre 59 and a half. I was like, oh, dang, I didn't even know I had to wait until that long that I couldn't access my cash. And it's a partnership that you agree to when you start that account is you're saying that you want someone else to be the manager of the account, and by doing so, you're allowing them to tax you on those funds and then to put some regulations as far as when you
Yeah.
can utilize it and how much you can utilize. Because a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, I got a nice size account. But my question to that is, how much can you actually access if you needed
Hmm.
the money, let's say, within this month?
Yeah.
Do you know that answer? And a lot
Yeah. A
of
lot
people
of,
don't.
you know, yeah. Yeah, and practical ways and practical reasons to go ahead and like put your in 401ks, but a lot of people aren't that intentional. Like for example, there are armor rates that could potentially be higher. Like for people like our higher earners, it might make sense for them to put money in 401ks so they can lower their total income, potentially less in health insurance and things like that. Those are more practical reasons to invest in a 401k. So if someone is aging to the point where they're about to retire and they're taking those factors into account, that might make sense to go and invest in 401k. But if you're a younger person, more entrepreneurial driven, and you're more business driven, it might not make sense to allocate you in that way because you have different goals than the person that's 63, 62, or 61.
Yeah, and said it's always going to be determined on what your financial time expectancy is, whether that be if you're trying to retire within 20 years or if you're trying to retire in 40 years. Those look
Mm.
totally different depending on where you're putting the money and then when you have access to it based on your current age. So just be mindful of it. I would say more often than not, a lot of people just set money and forget it. which is
Hmm.
good because you're not actively looking at the ups and downs of how markets work. But I would say at least once a year, if not maybe quarterly, look at those accounts and see what's actually growth potential. Because if it's not generating the sufficient amount of money that you're looking for, there might
Hmm.
be a good time to look elsewhere because that is the one and only. You pretty much got one shot when your only plan to put money with your employer and hope they're able to get you to the promised land. So, I would
Yeah.
say be more proactive and less just hoping that enough cash there when you reach retirement age.
Yeah, yeah. And if like a someone ton of income, it's really important to use the amount of money you have as optimally as possible because you're not working with as much money, right?
Yep.
So even the decision of putting 500 or $1,000 away can make a big difference in terms of your entire financial outlook because that 500 to $1,000 might be better suited in this personal development in your career and learning more so you can make more money, right?
Hmm.
But you might not be able to do that if you're allocating so much money into a retirement account that you can't access, right? And
Yep.
those are the that people don't consider because they're just kind of pushed in this hole of like you have to optimize for retirement, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to save money, but is it aligned with what you're trying to do? I mean, maybe that is what you want. You kind of want to stay in the same role in your company, really want to get ahead. But I would argue against that and say like you might learn other ways to make more money in your career, your business, or whatever it is, so you could reinvest and make more money.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, skills are what we need to develop, whether that be like with your employer or if
Mhm.
you're like more entrepreneurial, like Pascal was saying, you can utilize the time and that you're learning with your employer and then maybe start a side business with what you've started, whether it be like accounting or any type of business venture that you're enthusiastic about, and the ability to make more than what you're currently making, and the access to cash is what we're really trying to drive home. Is certain accounts you're literally almost locking your money up, and a lot of people don't know that, but I would say it's in the fine print, or they just don't care to actually do their homework. If you
I remember when I got my first accounting job, and I always knew that, like, because I was also life and health licensed at the time where I was kind of doing it on a part-time basis, but I just didn't know enough to do it full-time.
Yep,
And, like, my 401k at that time, and I knew I needed to stay away from that because that's just not aligned with what I'm trying to do. My
gotcha.
goal is to save as much money as possible so I could be strategic and invest into my business so I could eventually leave that accounting job. And that was my goal, right? So
Yep,
I optimized more for liquidity. Like I saved in savings account and life insurance policies where I could access my money right away. So actually, like a year down the line, I decided to invest into a marketing course where it helped me learn different things about marketing, this sales and everything that kind of helped me eventually leave the accounting job completely. But if I never structured my savings in that way, I would have never been positioned to end up having money to go ahead and invest in those things to help position me to learn more about the business and field that I'm in to build expertise so I can help clients better.
for sure, for sure. Now, as far as say people's retirement accounts, what do you think the percentage is? How many people do you think actually know what they're allocating on like a monthly figure?
I would place say like people that actually know, less than 50%, I'd say.
Less than 50%? Yeah, that,
Like most people don't know at all. Like it's like it's like people always want financial abundance and all these things. I want to make more money, but it's like how can you say that you want to make money and then you're not intentional with the money that you are making?
yeah.
Like you don't know how much you're putting aside, whatever it is. Like these are things to be able to just say at a snap of the finger, right? Because I remember even when I was working my accounting job, my first job, I was making 40,000. I could tell you
Yep.
exactly how much I was saving, exactly how much I had in different like assets and everything, and I could tell it to you like verbatim without looking at my accounts. So
Gotcha.
because I was very intentional about where I was saving my money, my liquidity and everything, and the risk that I was taking so I could increase my likelihood to succeed once I branch off of my accounting job, decided to be full time in the insurance and financial space like I am now. It's really hard to get to that point in if you're not intentional about your money. Like it's
For
borderline
sure.
impossible.
And I know for the most part, a lot of employers just say, "Hey, save a percentage in this account, and we'll match you." And people don't really check when they're pay to increase and everything. They just know the percentage is what's going to be locked in. They can alter it whenever they like to. But what we typically recommend is take the match up to whatever your employer is going to give you. So let's say if they'll match you up to 3% or 5%, take up to the match, and then anything excess of that, you're not really getting a large incentive to
Continue putting more. Really, yeah.
continue funding
It's
it past that.
mm,
So stop the funding at whatever they say that their match is. So if you don't know, now's a great time to contact HR and figure it out, whether it be like a dollar amount, a percentage. Most of the time, it's just going to be a percentage of what you're bringing home. And any excess funds, you can just have that go to your check, and now you have more cash flow on a monthly basis to hopefully build other assets or get out of debt. That's
yeah. And
typically what we recommend.
also, like it might depend how long do you plan on staying with that employer, because a lot of people they don't even stay with employers for 5 years. So a lot of these
This is
plans they
true.
have vesting periods. So if, there's a vesting period in your 401k, and if you leave before 5 years, you don't get to keep the money. It might not even make sense to do that too as well. So you want to take those things in account and just like ask HR about the fine print in a lot of these things, because they might sound good on a surface level, but
Hmm.
are they aligned with your values and your goals and what you're trying to accomplish?
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
more and more people they're not really staying in a company for 5 years, because honestly the companies don't incentivize them to stay that long, right? So I mean, but I mean, if you're working in a company that's giving you benefits and giving you access to upward mobility, then it might make sense
Yep.
to keep that job. But and then it might make sense to go ahead and take the match and do that. But that's not for a lot of people, and it just might make sense for them to kind of use that as a starting point to just learn different aspects of just like how the business is, and kind of branching off their own thing, or maybe just working completely different company altogether that just pays better.
Especially your starting career, I feel like most people go through a different employers. When you get started, you probably going to bounce around a few times before you actually find somewhere that's legitimate that could be where you can settle down as far as like an employer. Um, and if you're putting in your contributions into multiple 401ks, a lot of people just don't even know that that money's still going to be under their old employer's management. So if you have any old employers out there that you know that you contributed money to, make sure that you contact HR and have that money rolled into your current plans, or
Mhm.
figure out where that money is, because if you didn't touch it, it's still going to be there and it's going to be under their management. And if you never claim it, that's literally just money for them to utilize. But you have to keep track of all those things, and starting off early, you want to make sure that all of the money that you're earning, especially if you're just starting out, you don't have a large nest egg most of the time. So just keep track where every dollar is going, and know the ins and outs of contributing to these plans.
Yeah, yeah, and really the main purpose of this live is just kind of, if you just get out of this, is just be more intentional with the money that you're saving and investing. Like
Yep.
like a small amount directed in the right direction can end up catapulting you into success. So like,
Hmm.
don't think that amount you have is too little. Every amount is going to make a difference if, as long as you're intentionally saving for a certain goal. So, we just want to go live real quick and just kind of hammer down on that point. But I guess to kind of end it, where would be a good place to find you in if people want to just learn more about these concepts, how to save, how to invest, and grow their wealth over?
It'll be Anthony Enriquez on all major platforms, and then that'll be TikTok, Instagram, and then also on YouTube. Anthony Enriquez, my full name.
Hmm. Yeah, and for me, financial underscore ownership on Instagram, and I have more detailed content on YouTube, which is just financial ownership. So you could go ahead and check me out there. But typically, we do lives every Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So if you're interested in these type of discussions, these type of topics, make sure you tune in every Tuesday. So stay
There we
tuned for our
go.
content.
All right, Pascal. Appreciate you coming by, and then we will see you tomorrow.
Yep.
All right, then. Bye.
All right.